Hello friends, this is Raj Sastry from Raj Option Trading. Today is December 11th, 2022. Hope you're all doing well. In today's segment, we'll take a look at how to select great stocks and do a deep dive on these stocks using my favorite platform, TradingView. So with that, let's jump in and get started. Look, as you log into TradingView, you will get into a screen something like this. I'm in the home page of TradingView, tradingview.com. It's a free screener. Anybody can go in and get this screener for free. You can go into tradingview.com. So I'm using most of the free features here. Even though I got a pro plan here, you can look at the free, what's available in the free. And if you're up to it, you can go to the pro plan, which is not very expensive. It's about, say, $14 per month. Not much expensive at all. So with that, even though you don't have a pro plan, you could use these features in the free plan also. So with that, let's jump in and get started. So as you go into the screener here, you will see nice performance here for major indices. You can go in and click on this candlestick view, which is my favorite. I typically love to look at candlestick view. As you go into this page here, you can see the trend of the market. Look, we got about 1 year here. I clicked on 1 year, as you can see right here. So we got a trend for 1 year, probably S&P 500, as you can see here, pretty much a downtrend for 1 year. And you could also do the same thing. You can just click on this 100. It will bring up NASDAQ 100 and show you the chart here. NASDAQ 100 is also, as you can see here, pretty much downtrending, and try to have some small up move since November, as you can see here. You could do the same thing with the Bitcoin and US dollar and so on and so forth. US dollar, as you can see here, it's been cruising along pretty well this year, the whole 2022, but now it's showing some deceleration. This is going to be good for the overall stock market, mainly because there are a lot of companies who are bringing the money from outside US. It's going to be beneficial for big companies doing business outside of the US. So you could look into other indices, just like what we talked about. You could look at Russell 2000 small cap stocks. Look, Russell is also downtrending, as you can see here. But now there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We are trending upwards since October, but we had few bad days, as you can see here. So this is what you can do as you log into the platform. So next, what we'll do is really we want to look at how to find great stocks and also how to do a deep dive on these great stocks. So without further ado, I will take you to a screener where you can find out the great stocks. So you could go into the product, just click on it and look at the screeners. Screeners is very powerful in TradingView. I love their screener. So as you go in here, you could click on stock here. You'll get a nice stock screener. As you can see here, we got nice stock screener here. So as you go into the stock screener, next big thing you got to do is you got to really screen for great stocks. Look, if I remove all these screeners here, I can go in here and just wipe it clean because I already have some screener here. I can go here and wipe it clean. Let's go here and say I got a let's do one thing here. Let's go to the filters, and look, I got various filters going on here. So if I just say remove all the filters, just like doing this here, look, I removed all the filters right now, and look, we got around 11,000 stocks, as you can see here. So in the stock market, you got to have some way of screening the companies. Otherwise, you will go into this huge set of stocks. It's not going to be worth your while. You're going to waste a lot of time and effort sifting through the stock market. That's why you got to look at great fundamental companies, especially in this market that we are in. You got to look at great fundamental companies because when the Fed is fighting against the market and generally against the inflation, you got to go after the great companies. Let's just do that. Find few great companies and then I will go into the details of how to do a deep dive on a particular stock using TradingView. All right, so once you find, once you go in here, you can click on filters. Look, we got all sort of filters here. You got descriptive filters, as you can see here. You got symbol type and so on and so forth here, and then you got financials filters and a lot of financials filters, as you can see here. If you're a numbers guy, you will love it. And technical filters for the technical geeks, you could look at all these things here. So if you're in pro platform, you could even screen on a minute by minute basis. We got 1 minute and 5 minutes and so on and so forth here. You could do that if you have pro plan, but otherwise if you don't have a pro plan, I think you can do probably daily type filters here, and go from there. All right, so then you can go in here and you could go into all. The beauty of this platform is really you could type anything, it will bring it up here. To begin with, because we are doing the stock itself, I will go in here and go to symbol type, and I will just say I don't want a lot of these ETFs and so on and so forth. I will say common stock, and I'm okay with some of these foreign stocks, like some of these overseas stocks as an example. And then you can say, if you want some REITs, you could say REITs, because there are some REITs which pay good dividend. And I think that should be good enough here. If we could start from here, look from, we are now down to 13,000. If I remove all these things here, as you click on these, you can look at what it brings up here. Look, if I just say any here, we are looking at 14,000. You can see right here 14,000. The moment you just want some stocks here, if you just say common stock, it will bring it down, as you can see here, to 11,000, as you see here. And then you could add REITs and ADRs, which is foreign stocks. I think that should be good enough for today's discussion. This will bring up 13,000 stocks, as you can see here. And once you're done with it, we could go back here and look at a few more things. If you are a fundamental investors, you should look at market cap. You don't want to go with the low market cap stocks in this market situation. So what I would do is really, I would go for a little bit bigger market cap here, and say market cap, to be for this fundamental filter, let's go with the 2 billion. So that way we don't need to worry about very low price stocks here. And this one will pull it all the way, so that way we get the biggest company also. So this will take care of the market cap here. Now we are down to 3,000, as you can see here. It did a very good filtering here. All right, so now we are taking care of market cap here. Next thing you could do is really volume. So you got to make sure there's a nice volume here. I love to look at 90-day average volume. For my fundamental filter here, I want some stable and liquid companies. So I would say 1 million shares traded in the last 90 days on an average. So now we are down to 975 stock, as you can see here. And now we'll go after a few more criterias and even bring it down. All right, now we are down here, and the volume, as you can see here, it's 50 million. So we could say on a daily basis we want volume at least sometimes depending on what time of the day you're trading, I would say just keep it at least at 500,000 or so that way you get at least you'll see some good stocks here. All right, so if you're doing the over the weekend like we are doing right now, you could bump it up to 1 million also, but you could keep it at 500,000. That will suffice because you already have 1 million here in the average 30-day volume. In case you're during the trading hours, this will kind of help you to really help you slightly. Sometimes you could even get rid of this because we have a average volume here. So if you are filtering during the daytime here, during the trading hours, you could remove this whole filter here. Let's just do that here for this example, because if you have volume filter during the trading hours, probably you're doing in the morning session, so you will get into some trouble. You may not find any stock. All right, so let's go with that here, and let's look at a few more filters here. All right, so now we did the volume, and let's go back here and look at a few more filters here. I can look at descriptive. We're in the descriptive. Let's go back to all here. So look, we have nice filters here. Now what I will do is really I want to make sure the companies I'm looking at are fundamentally good. So what I would do is really I would look at profit margin here. Let's start with the margin. In this market, you got to be very careful. You want profitable companies. I will say net margin above at least say 5% here. So that way I don't want to look at very small companies that are not making money. So I would even go a little aggressive here because we are in the filtering mode. I say 10% net margin. Now look, from 14,000 we are down to 470, as you can see here. And gross margin, I would say at least above 30%. I want solid companies with the nice 30% or more gross margin here. Now look, we are back to down to 322 here. So we are filtering down nicely. All right, so once we are done with this here, I would now want to look at earnings per share. Earnings per share is a very good number that tells you if the company is profitable. I will just say earnings here. So look, we got basic EPS. I will say basic EPS, at least they got to make at least say 50 cents per share. So let's keep it at 50 here. Now we are down to 307, as you can see here. And then we'll go after the sales. I want revenue for these companies. So I want some solid revenue. Look, we got all these numbers here. The revenue, total revenue for the fiscal year, and so on and so forth here. So I would say, total revenue, last year. And we got all these numbers here. I will say total revenue last year. I would say at least, for this scan here, let's say 500 million here. So I'm not interested in companies that are not making at least 500 million. So I want to go after good companies. Look, now we are at 296 out of 14,000. We are really filtering down. Next are few important ones here. You gotta want to make sure companies have got enough money. So that's where current ratio comes in. So you can type in current here to look at the current ratio. All right, so we got current ratio here. As many of you know here, current ratio is really current assets divided by current liabilities. We want assets to be more, liability to be low, and you want company to really have financial stability. They can pay off their short-term liability. That's why I want this current asset by current liability above 1. So look, now we'll be filtering down further from 296 to 184. And one more thing is very important to me is debt to equity ratio. We can say debt here, and look, we got debt to equity ratio here. I want the debt to equity ratio below 1, so that way these companies have got enough equity to take care of their debt situation in the long run. All right, look, we got debt to equity ratio also below 1. We are down to 147 great companies. And you could also look at a few other numbers here. One of my favorite thing is cash flow here. So you could look at free cash flow. I want companies to at least have a positive free cash flow here. To be very conservative, I would say free cash flow above at least 100 million here. So that way we look at these positive cash flow companies and go from there. All right. This is free cash flow growth. Let's actually go into free cash flow itself right here. I'll say above and 100 million here. This is price to cash flow, free cash flow. Let's see here. There is no free cash flow itself here. Looks like it has got free price per cash flow. I would say probably we'll leave this here and go with the, let's see here. They don't have just cash here. That's fine. I think we can go with this here. So look, we basically came down all the way from 14,000 shares to handful, just 147. So this is a handful of companies that you could work with. So next, what you could also do is you could do some more things here. You could look at some of the companies which are not overbought. Or in the other words, you want to look at the companies which are sold off slightly. So we'll go back to the filter here. RSI is one of my favorite filter for this. I say RSI, or relative strength index. This tells you if the company is really, the price is going too high or too low. For the RSI filter here, for our example here, I would say I want to look at RSI below 55. So that way, companies which are really, at a overbought here, I don't want to chase them because they're super high. All right, so we are done with this here. We are at 96. Next is really, important thing here, which is ATR, which is average true range. Average true range will help you to really see if the company, if the stock price is really fluctuating on a daily basis. Typically, as a traders and investors, we want the stock to move, not sit stagnant. So with that, for the ATR, I want the ATR at least above 50 cents here. I want these stocks to move, not just sit without moving. Look, now we are down to just 87 stocks, as you can see here. All right, so what you could do once you did this great scan, you could really save this scan here, so that way it's available for you. I will go here and save scan as. I will just say here, for fundamental, and I will say YouTube. So that way, it's for this YouTube video we created this screener. Look, now we got great stocks here. You might wonder, now I sorted by market cap just by clicking on this here, the top column here. You can sort by any of these columns here. Look, I sorted this by market cap right now. It also tells you the criteria. Look, market cap, I said about 2 billion. You can see a 2 billion to 2 trillion, and RSI below 55. TradingView will basically tell you what's the criteria that's used for the filtering, and volume also. You can see here we got some volume filter here. It kind of tells you what's being used here. All right, so once you do this here, I got a technical screener here, or a view. You could change the view. Look, I got various views created. I got my fundamental view created. I'll go into fundamental view here. To create the view, it's very simple. You could go click on this 3 bars, or 3 bars that you can see here, and look, you got all the column setups here. These folks have got around, say, 600, 700 columns here. I did not count, but a lot of columns, at least 400, 500. You can pick and choose what you want. For my fundamental screen here, I'm putting these few columns, as you can see here. I got various screens created, or views created here. Look, I got technical, fundamental, selling put, buying call, you name it. I got all these views created, so that way I can watch the market and just with the trading view. All right, look, you might now wonder, hey, why there is no Apple? One of the reasons Apple is not there, Apple, as many of you know, it has got a lot of debt in its balance sheet. Its debt to equity ratio is a little bit high. That's why Apple is not showing up here. If you want to see Apple, you got to reduce your current ratio and debt to equity, then you'll show Apple in your screen. As an example, if I take you to Apple here, look, we got, let's go back here, and I will just search for Apple. We are in Apple right now, and I could go in here. Let's go back here and go to tradingview.com here, and there you go. And let's bring up Apple just to tell you why Apple is not showing up here. All right, so let's say Apple. All right, we got Apple right here. We can go into the overview screen here for Apple. Look, from an overview perspective, the reason Apple does not show up here, as I go down here, look at market cap and history and so on and so forth here. And, These scores, guys, have got a little bit higher debt to equity ratio here. Look at the total debt, as you can see here. Nice total debt here, 132 billion total debt. And look, we got debt to equity ratio right here. We got current ratio and debt to equity ratio. For Apple, current ratio, which is current assets by current liability, is slightly higher. It's 0.8. I love it when current ratio is above 1. And debt to equity ratio also for Apple, it's 2. I love it when it's below 1, but these guys have taken so much debt. That's why they got some debt at the lower rate. That's why they got it. But it's a little bit high. That's why it did not show up in our fundamental scanner here. If you want slightly higher debt stocks here, you could relax your filter criteria. You could go here and change the filter criteria slightly. If you want stocks like Apple, you could go right here, debt to equity ratio, instead of below 1, you can say, below debt to equity ratio, you can say below 3 here. Then you will get stocks like Apple. And we got here, look, current ratio here, instead of above 1, you can say above 0.8 here. So that way you can get stocks like Apple. There you go. Now, we will get stocks like Apple here. We slightly increased number of share count here, 116, as you can see here. And I could close this here. And always, don't forget to save your scans. Look, we got a screen here. Save your screen. And also, once you like your list of columns that you selected here, don't forget to save this list of columns here. Look, I got my fundamental. I save it here as a fundamentals. All right, this is the fundamentals of how to screen great stocks using TradingView. I love the platform because it's got various criterias. You can easily scan and whittle down the list of stocks here. That's very, very important. Stock market is flooded with stocks. You don't want low quality stocks. Great. Next, you might wonder, hey, what? I found my stock. Tell me how to deep dive. That's exactly what we'll do next. For this example here, we'll look at one of my favorite stock here, which is Apple. Let's click on Apple. The moment you get this list, something like this here, you can click on the symbol just like this here. TradingView will launch a screen, something like this here, and click on this more on advanced chart. Just click on it. Now you'll get a nice advanced chart, as you can see here, and we got multiple things here, as you can see. And what I would do is really, many times, depending on what type of analysis I'm doing, I select various indicators. For this analysis to begin with, here we are in the fundamentals. I could just remove some of these things here, not to clutter. Look, I could just click on this, this symbol right here and just collapse this pane. Very simple. And look, I got this indicator right here. I love the support resistance. As an example here, look, I love this support resistance. If you want support resistance like this, you could, click on the slash here, or you could click on the indicator at the top. What I did is I just selected support here. Look, we got here a support resistance indicator. And this is one of the famous indicator. It's used by 13,000 subscribers, as you can see here. I love to look at these community scripts, which are used by a lot of people. They have a good, they got very good credibility, so you could go with those here. All right, that's what I am using here. Very simple. I'm using this support resistance here, and it's by Lux Algo. And also I'm using here squeeze indicator. If you just click on squeeze here, look, we got squeeze momentum indicator by Lazy Bear. Very simple. I like to keep it simple. Don't throw too much indicator. It will only confuse you. Keep it very simple. All right, so it's very simple right now. Just by looking at this chart, I know what's going on here. I got a 1-day view of Apple, as you can see here. It's a 1-day chart. And I know what the current price here, as you see here with TradingView kind of shows you current price at the top of the chart itself. You can see here 142.2 is the current price here, and you get a very good view here. Look, I also have this support resistance level here. By looking at this, I know at 150 157 there is a nice resistance level here, and at 134 there is a good support level here, and we also have one more support level right here, as you can see here. This level right here at 128, there is a good support level. Just by looking at this chart here, if you're a trader, especially swing trader, you could do a lot of things here. And if you're an options trader, always look at support level and resistance level. Look, there is a resistance, there's a support. By looking at these two here, you could do a lot of things. You could sell strangles. You could do around 157 and around say 134. If you're conservative, you could go down here and you can sell some strangles at these levels. And you could also do iron condors. You have a lot of options here. Just by looking at the support resistance level, you could do a lot of things. All right, so in this segment here, we are here for the stock deep dive. Let's just do that. So as you go in here, you could look at watch list and details. As you look through here, it will kind of tell you your watch list and the details. And next thing you could do is really you could look at news here and see what are the news for Apple here. So anytime you want to look at the news, it's always good to look at the news. All right, this also gives you here some news right here. You can see here 3 days ago, market chatter, Apple employees in Australia reportedly planned strikes, so on and so forth here. All right, so with this, what you can do is really, I'll collapse this here. I don't want to look at that screen at this time here. This is where I love TradingView. TradingView helps you to do a deep dive on a given stock very easily. These days, a lot of people don't have time to look at multiple platforms. That's why you can do all the analysis using one platform here, which is a TradingView. In a bird's eye view, you can see here what the current price, which is 142, as you can see here. And you can also see, what the range. Look, we got days range here. And you can see also 52-week range. You kind of know where the stock is at just by looking at the 52-week range here. You're not paying too much for the Apple. So Apple is really not overbought. It's in fact oversold just by looking at this 52-week range. Next is the key statistics here. You always keep watching the key statistics. It tells you what the volume and what the average volume in 10 days. Looks like the current volume is slightly below average 10-day volume, as you can see, or it's actually above. That's a good sign here. You can look at the market cap. Apple also pays nice dividend. Very good to look at these. Next thing is very important. I love this. You could also expand this slightly here. You could get a few more information here, like the earnings per share. As an example, look, I love companies which are having nice earnings. These are the profitable company. Apple has got around $6.14 earnings per share. That's a good earnings. It also tells you PE ratio. Apple is a really nice PE ratio here. As you can see here, pays some dividend and so on and so forth. Next is very important for me, which is the earnings. Look, any company that you want to look at, you want to make sure the earnings are doing well. So TradingView platform will make it very easy here. It's got two dots, no magic here. There's an actual earnings and there's an earnings estimate. You want the companies to really beat the estimate. Those are the great companies. If you look at the Apple here, look, we got, if you hover over here, it tells you actual 2.1 and estimate 1.9. That tells you Apple surprised by 20 cents here on the earnings per share, or at 10.58%. That's a great indication that Apple is doing very well. They're surpassing analyst estimation when it comes to earnings per share. And as you scan through here, same story. Look here, also they surprised, and look here also they surprised positively, and again surprise. And for the next quarter here, look, analysts are even going slightly higher, and they got an estimate of 2.01. And I'm sure Apple will do its best to surpass it. And normally when you compare, the quarter over quarter, you always have to compare 4 quarters ago. Look, Many companies have got this seasonality here. Look, Apple's Q1 here, pretty strong as you can see here. That's why if you look at Q1 23, it's slightly higher. You're comparing, basically year over year. You're comparing the same quarters in FY 23 to the same quarter like Q1 23, Q1 22. That's how you compare. You don't compare sequentially normally. You always compare year over year growth in the same quarter. So this is very good here. Just by looking at this year, I know Apple is doing well. It's been surpassing the analyst estimates. And next is dividends. You can get a good idea about the dividends. As you can see here, Apple has been paying some good dividend, but look, they're retaining a lot of their profit here. Look, profit retained is so much here, just 14% in the dividend payout ratio. So this tells you, just by looking at this tells you Apple can continue to grow its dividend because their payout ratio is so low. So you want the companies to have lower payout ratio. As the payout ratio goes above 50%, watch out that the dividend may not be sustainable. All right, next is really income statement. I love to look at these income statements, and just by looking at this, if you don't have too much time, you could just stay here and get some good idea here. Look, I clicked on quarterly right now. And in a quarterly view here, look, by looking at this, you can hover over this here. Look, revenue 83 billion, net income 20 billion, profit margin 24 billion. That's a very good number here. Just by hovering over here, you get some great idea. And look, it also tells you, the dividend dates if you want to look at those. But more importantly here, I love to look at more financials. I just click on more financials here. Look, as you click on more financials, you get some great numbers here. Look, right now we're in the quarterly. You could easily go into the annual also. I love to look at annual to begin with, just to see how it's tracking. Then I would go into quarterly. From an annual earning perspective, look what's going on here. We got here earnings from 2015 all the way to 2022, and we got some future projections here, as you can see here. Overall, in a great company will always have nice revenue uptick here. Look, nice revenue growth here. That's why I love Apple. And then you could look at surprise here. Look, 2015, Apple surprised. Nice 99-cent surprise, as you can see here. 2016, again, a surprise. Apple has been surprising, the analysts all along here. That's why it's really indication of a very great company. And then you could go into quarterly here, and look, we got quarterly here. Quarterly, you'll see some jittery in the quarterly view, mainly because you got to compare, a quarter to the quarter, year ahead. For example, if you have a quarter like Q1 21, you got to look at Q1 22. Look, we got Q1 2022. You can compare those two. Apple typically does very well toward the end of the year with their products. That's why it looks like Q1 is a strong quarter for Apple. And if you're comparing the Q2 here, you should compare corresponding Q2 year ago. That's how you compare. That's why just by looking sequentially, you'll see jittery. But if you look at same quarter a year ago, that's how you'll see the trend. All right, so next is the revenue here. Look, Apple is also doing very well from a revenue perspective. You could click on annual to begin with, just to get a bird's eye view. Look, annually, Apple is doing really great here. They're doing nice revenue. And look, they're actually doing slightly better than estimate. That's always good here. And then we got a few more things here. That's about the earnings itself. You could also look at the overview here. Look at the nice overview. You can get some great ideas. I love to look at how they're doing from a earnings perspective. Look, all positive surprise. And of course, from the revenue perspective, again, a positive surprise from the revenue perspective. And you could look at the statements. I don't spend too much on the statement, but sometimes I will hover over the statements just to make sure I'm reading that right. Look, here we are in the statement here. You could look at, we got Q1 here we got Q2, Q3. You got nice set of quarters here you can compare, and typically you want to compare Q2 with the Q2, so that way it's an apples to apples comparison. And you can see here we got very good numbers here. We got total revenue in the blue here, and green is the total profit, operating income, pre-tax income, net income, all above zero. That tells you Apple is a great company. And you got various more statistics here. You could go through this and spend some more time, but the moment you look at this this right here, you get a good picture. You don't need to deep dive most of the times unless you see something negative. All right, so you could also click on the statistics here to look at the statistics, and it kind of tells you the PE ratio and price to cash ratio. Nothing, it's all doing great here, as you can see here. That's why I love stocks that do very well fundamentally. Then you could look at dividend. If you're a dividend investor, as you go into 50, 55 plus into your retirement age, it's good to look at some dividend stocks, so that way you get dividends, you could hold on to them. So that's why stocks like Apple is great when they pay good dividend. And also look, as you hover on this here, it tells you they paid 55 cents dividend per share, increased to 60 cents, then it's 68. Look, they've been increasing their dividend per share. If you're holding a share, you constantly get more and more dividend. Now it's 90 cents per share. It's really the great companies do that. They will keep increasing your dividend. So that's how you could deep dive in it. And once you're done with it, you can click close here. It will take you back to the same page here. Next important thing is performance here. You could just look at the performance here. Look, Apple is struggling right now. In a 1 week basis, it's down 2%, but in 1 month it's up again, and 1 year it's down 18%. Unlike a lot of stocks here, Apple has held up very well. It's done better than S&P 500. That's really a great one. Apple is really doing very well with the Tim Cook leadership. And next is the technical look. Many times, technical analysis, looks at what's going on right now from a technical perspective. Could be moving average, maybe the oscillators, and some of these technical indicators. Just by looking at the technicals here, right now Apple is sell. As you can see here, Apple is in a sell here. And I typically look at the technicals and look at the fundamentals also. You got to always marry the technicals and fundamentals to get a great idea. All right, let's look at more technicals here. TradingView will give you great indications here. If you're a swing trader, I say, go into 1 day view here, and that will give you some very good indication here, because some of these technicals get jittery as you go into 1 minute and 5 minutes here. That's why it's good to at least go 1 day. But if you're a super swing trader, you could even go to like 30 minutes or 1 hour. But typically I would love to stay at 1 day or sometimes at 4 hours, just to make it a little more stable and not too much fluctuation. All right, look, it tells you from an oscillator perspective. When you say oscillator, you have to think about things like relative strength index and such. It will basically oscillate between two ranges. Look, from an oscillator perspective, right now we're in the neutral, probably RSI is about 50 or so. That's why. Look, we got RSI about 44. That's pretty neutral, as you can see here. And it also tells you what oscillator they're looking at. We got here set of oscillators that TradingView is looking at to really compile a statistics based on the oscillator at the top here. And look, from a next one is really summary here. It basically summarizes what the overall indication here from a technical perspective. From a technical perspective, overall it's in a sell rating right now. And we also have moving average rating. From a moving average perspective, as it's below it's a 10-day, 20-day, so on and so forth, moving averages. That's why it's a strong sell here. I really love it when technicals say strong sell. That means you get the stock at a very good price. And then I would go into the fundamentals, and then if the fundamentals are buy, I love to buy. And next one, very important for me, is really this pivots. Pivots are very important, especially if you're a stock trader and you want to look at what price I can really buy it or sell. Look, we got here, I love this here. You could stick with either classic is a great one, or you could go into Fibonacci and all these things here. I typically stick with either classic or Woody. Woody is also one of my favorite here, especially if you're an options trader here. Always look at these levels here. If you're not super aggressive options trader, you could really sell your call spread at the top at the resistance level here around R3 or so. You could sell call spread here, or if you're just selling strangle, you could do R3 at the top, and you could do R3 at the bottom if you're conservative. If you're a little more aggressive, you could do R2. For example, Apple right now, you could sell a call around 162 and sell a put around say 124. So this is how you do it. And you don't need to just sell one call. You could sell a call spread at the top here at the resistance level, and sell a put spread at the bottom here at the support level. And you could also do some in-out spread here. You could go around the pivot level here. You could really sell, right now pivot level is 145 in the middle. You could really sell 140 to 150 call. Actually you could buy 140 to 150 call, and really work on this is going to be debit spread here. You could get some money that way also. So these are just by looking at this pivots here. You could do a lot of strategies here. You could you could say what's your stop loss level, and you could do options trading by looking at this support resistance level. All right, now let's close this here and look at a few more things. So we looked at the technicals. Next important thing is analyst ratings. I love it when we got a strong sell here. Look, we got sell right here, as you can see here, but from an analyst perspective it's a buy. I love this divergence here. TradingView really does a very good job here. Look, you could go in here. This is a nice view. I love this view here. It tells you right now Apple is at 142. The highest expectation on the top here from a forecast perspective is at 200. And we got here minimum here at 118 or so. It's a very good view here, and this also can be used for all the strategies here. For example, if you're a put option seller, you could look at this level right here, 118. You could sell some put option here. Given that analysts are projecting the lowest level for Apple is around 118. This can be used as a support level. These can be used as a resistance level, so that we can devise a lot of strategies. All right, so it also tells you from an analyst perspective. Look, 27 analysts are saying buy, strong buy, 5 saying buy, and look, we got 3 people saying sell Apple, probably because Apple has got a little more debt levels. Probably that's the reason. And then you get various more details here. You can see here what the earnings surprise is. A very good view here. You can see here, look, from an earnings per share perspective, Apple has been forecasting nicely here. And look, more importantly, look, analysts are increasing Apple's forecast for the future. In Q1 it's 2.01. And if you look at the previous Q1 here, it's a 1.42. That's a nice jump here. That's why stock like Apple is a great fundamentally. And then we got here revenue. You could look at the revenue here. Same story. Look, Apple has been doing very well, but look, Q4 last year it's a negative from a revenue surprise perspective, but Q4 this year it's a positive. That tells you Apple is doing well. You could do this for any stock here. If you're taking Apple as an example, and try to go into the deep dive. This will really help you to really just do a little more due diligence before you buy the stock. All right, so let's close this out here. You can just close it. It will take you back to the screener. There you go. Next is the profile here. You could look at the profile and read through what the company does here. Apple, everybody knows what Apple does. It tells you Apple TV, AirPod, Mac, phone, you name it. All the details are here. So with that, this is a quick way to really First, scan great companies like we did here. You could also click on right here, stock screen. Look, we scanned all the way down from a lot of the stocks to very few set here. We got great 116 stocks, as you can see here. So this is the way you deep dive on any stock here. We looked at Apple. You could go to Microsoft. Basically you get the data right here, and you could do deep dive just the way we did it here. So with that, thank you very much. Happy investing and trading. Please subscribe.